Most people think of strokes as something sudden, something that just happens. But what if I told you there's a specific habit you may be doing tonight that could raise your risk of stroke by morning? I'm not talking about genetics. I'm not even talking about diet or exercise. I'm talking about a seemingly harmless behavior, one that has to do with how you sleep, or more precisely, when you sleep, and what you're doing just before bed. Here's the kicker. A growing body of research from institutions like the University of Toronto, Harvard Medical School, and the European Society of Cardiology shows that this everyday habit can disrupt your brain's vascular function, spike nighttime blood pressure, and increase your risk of stroke, especially if you're over 50 or already dealing with hypertension, sleep apnea, or poor circulation. It turns out that the brain isn't just passively resting during sleep. It's actually undergoing a delicate orchestration of processes, detoxifying itself through the lymphatic system, regulating inflammatory markers, and managing blood vessel flexibility. And this habit throws a wrench in all of that. It hijacks the parasympathetic nervous system and keeps your brain's alert centers activated even after your eyes are closed. But here's the empowering part. Once you understand what this habit is, what it does to your brain and body, and how to reverse it, you can take back control. You can protect your blood vessels. You can improve your sleep quality. And most importantly, you can reduce your risk of catastrophic brain events like stroke, not just years from now, but tonight. In this episode, we'll explore 6 breakthrough insights from neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and cardiovascular research that uncover the exact nightly habit that silently raises stroke risk, how your sleep timing and bedtime routine impact brain blood flow, why late-night screen use disturbs vascular tone and brain detox, how short-term sleep loss leads to long-term brain damage, what your autonomic nervous system does at night and how to help it, and 6 actionable tools backed by science to sleep smarter and stay protected. This is not fear-based health advice. It's neuroscience, it's practical, and it's yours to use starting tonight. We often treat sleep like a negotiable item, something we can delay, reduce, or catch up on later. But the human brain is not so forgiving. In fact, studies suggest that when you sleep may be just as important as how long you sleep, especially when it comes to your risk of stroke. A major 2022 study published in the European Heart Journal to Digital Health analyzed over 88,000 adults in the UK Biobank. The findings were striking. Individuals who regularly went to bed after midnight had a 25% higher risk of developing cardiovascular events, including stroke, compared to those who went to bed between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock p.m. And this held true even when total sleep duration was the same. Why does timing matter so much? The answer lies in your circadian system, the internal clock that regulates everything from hormone release and body temperature to blood pressure and vascular tone. Every cell in your body has a circadian rhythm, including the endothelial cells that line your blood vessels. When you delay sleep past your natural circadian sleep gate, typically between Pacific 10 and midnight, you disrupt this finely tuned system. Imagine your vascular system like a busy urban highway. At night, it's supposed to slow down, run maintenance, clear debris, and repair damage. But if you stay awake too late, it's like sending more traffic onto the road when it should be closed for repairs. Over time, micro damage accumulates, and in the brain, where blood vessels are more fragile, that can be catastrophic. In people over 50, this disruption becomes even more dangerous. Aging already brings reduced melatonin output and circadian drift, meaning your body clock shifts later, but your recovery capacity declines. Staying up late only amplifies the strain on your arteries and capillaries. And here's where the neuroscience gets even more compelling. As you push your sleep later, your parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for rest and digest, gets outcompeted by sympathetic activity. Your heart rate stays elevated, blood pressure doesn't dip the way it should during the early night hours. This non-dipping pattern has been directly linked to increased stroke incidence in older adults. So, what's the takeaway? A simple but powerful shift is to anchor your bedtime between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock p.m. when your body is naturally primed for sleep. This allows your circadian system to initiate repair functions in the vascular system, optimize blood pressure regulation, and ensure the brain enters deep sleep early in the night when glymphatic detox and vessel recovery are most active. You might ask, but what if I'm a night owl? Chronotype, your natural sleep preference, does play a role, but many night owls aren't biologically wired that way. Or socially shifted due to habits, work schedules, or screen use. And the research shows that even night owls benefit from gradual shifts toward earlier bedtimes. Here's a simple adjustment protocol. Start by dimming lights 90 minutes before your target bedtime. Reduce screen exposure and cognitive stimulation after 9 o'clock p.m. Use a wind down routine, reading, breath work, or light stretching to signal your brain it's time to sleep. Stick to the same sleep-wake window every day, including weekends. This isn't just about feeling rested. It's about protecting the most vital organ in your body, your brain. Because stroke risk doesn't just build over years, it builds overnight. Have you ever found yourself scrolling late at night, telling yourself just 5 more minutes, only to realize it's past midnight, your eyes are strained, and you're still wired? This habit doesn't just rob you of sleep, it primes your brain for stress, disturbs your vascular health, and significantly raises your stroke risk. Here's what the research shows. Exposure to blue light from smartphones, tablets, TVs, and even LED lighting can suppress melatonin production by over 50%. A landmark study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that just 2 hours of blue light exposure in the evening significantly delayed melatonin onset and reduced its amplitude, impairing the brain's ability to transition into restorative sleep. But this isn't just about sleep quantity. It's about what's happening to your blood vessels and brain while you're exposed to this light. Melatonin is more than a sleep hormone. It's also a potent vasodilator and antioxidant. It helps relax blood vessels, lower nighttime blood pressure, and enhance cerebral blood flow during deep sleep. When you suppress melatonin with late-night screen use, your arteries stay tighter, your blood pressure doesn't fall properly, and your brain's ability to clear waste and oxygenate itself is compromised. In short, more screen time at night equals less blood flow to the brain during sleep equals higher stroke risk. But it's not just the light. It's the stimulation. Every swipe, video, and notification activates your brain's default mode network and salient systems, which are involved in evaluating threats, scanning for novelty, and maintaining attention. When this system stays active too close to bedtime, your brain stays in a semi-alert state with elevated cortisol, suppressed parasympathetic tone, and fragmented sleep. One fMRI study out of the University of Basel demonstrated that participants who used screens in the 90 minutes before bed had significantly reduced slow wave activity in their first sleep cycles, the very brain waves associated with neurovascular recovery, memory consolidation, and glymphatic clearance. This means that even if you sleep a full 8 hours, the quality of that sleep and its protective effect on your brain is diminished. And here's something most people overlook. Nighttime screen use also elevates heart rate variability, HRV, instability. Normally, HRV should rise at night, indicating a state of repair and parasympathetic dominance. But studies from the American Heart Association have shown that late-night screen exposure causes erratic HRV patterns, which are associated with increased cardiovascular strain, a direct risk factor for stroke, particularly in older adults. Now, for the empowering part, if this insight is helping you protect your brain and body, consider subscribing. This channel is all about transforming cutting-edge science into tools you can actually use. And what you do with your evenings could shape the health of your brain for decades to come. Here's a simple evening protocol you can try starting tonight. 1 hour screen cutoff. Set a non-negotiable time, ideally by 9:30 p.m., to power down all devices. Use dim, red light bulbs in the bedroom and bathroom They don't suppress melatonin. Activate night shift or blue light filters on all your devices throughout the day, not just at night. Replace digital wind downs with analog. Read a physical book, journal, stretch, or practice non-sleep deep rest, NSDR. Also, consider wearing blue light to blocking glasses 90 minutes before bed. A 2021 randomized controlled trial in Chronobiology International found that participants wearing blue blockers had significantly better melatonin profiles, sleep depth, and next-day cognitive performance, all of which support vascular brain health. Your nighttime habits are not benign. They're either healing your brain or harming it. Every night, as you drift into sleep, a profound physiological shift is supposed to take place. Your heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, digestion improves, blood vessels relax. This transition is governed by your autonomic nervous system, the part of your brain and body that handles everything you don't consciously control. But when this system is out of balance, something dangerous happens. Your body fails to enter the rest and repair mode. Instead of recovering, it stays on high alert. And if this happens repeatedly, especially at night, your risk of stroke goes up dramatically. Let's break this down. The autonomic nervous system has two branches. The sympathetic nervous system, think of it as the gas pedal. It drives alertness, stress response, and readiness. The parasympathetic nervous system, the brake pedal. It slows everything down, allowing for recovery, digestion, detox, and deep repair. During quality sleep, especially in the first half of the night, the parasympathetic system should dominate. But here's the issue. Many people are unknowingly stuck in sympathetic overdrive due to late night screen use, emotional stress, heavy meals, alcohol, or even late workouts. This state is called autonomic dysregulation, and it's a silent driver of cardiovascular strain. Research published in Sleep Medicine Reviews shows that people with high nighttime sympathetic activity, measured via heart rate variability and blood pressure, are at significantly greater risk for ischemic stroke. In fact, one study from the University of Pittsburgh found that non-dipping blood pressure patterns, where BP doesn't fall by at least 10% at night, nearly double the risk of cerebrovascular event. What's happening in your brain when this occurs? When sympathetic tone stays elevated, vascular resistance increases, meaning your arteries stay tight instead of relaxing. Blood flow to the brain is constricted, especially during the early sleep phases when it's supposed to be most abundant. Over time, this impairs neurovascular coupling, the brain's ability to match blood supply with neural activity. It's like trying to run a complex machine with a limited fuel supply. Eventually, something breaks down. This autonomic imbalance also reduces baroreflex sensitivity, a mechanism by which your brain adjusts blood pressure moment by moment. Poor baroreflex function has been strongly associated with sudden blood pressure spikes at night, which are a direct trigger for stroke in vulnerable individuals. So how do you know if your autonomic nervous system is out of balance? Do you wake up feeling tired despite a full night's sleep? Do you have a racing heart or high resting pulse at bedtime? Do you find it hard to wind down even when you're physically still? Do you wake up between 2 to 4 a.m. with your mind racing? If you answered yes to any of these, it may be a sign your nervous system isn't shifting properly into parasympathetic mode. Here's a simple neuroscience-backed protocol to restore autonomic balance. 1. Vagus nerve activation before bed. Slow diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale 4 seconds, exhale 6 seconds for 5 minutes. This boosts vagal tone, which directly activates the parasympathetic nervous system. 2. Thermal drop technique. Take a warm shower 60 to 90 minutes before bed, followed by a cool room temperature about 65 to 68 DGF or 18 to 20 DC. The drop in core body temperature enhances parasympathetic dominance and sleep depth. 3. Evening stillness practice. Just 10 minutes of meditation, prayer, or even silent reflection before bed can reduce sympathetic activity and rewire the brain towards safety and repair. 4. Avoid autonomic triggers. Limit caffeine after 2 p.m., avoid emotionally charged conversations late at night, and delay intense workouts to earlier in the day. When your nervous system sleeps well, your blood vessels sleep well. And when your blood vessels sleep well, your brain is protected. When you hear the word stroke, you probably imagine a sudden blockage or rupture in the brain. But most strokes don't just happen out of nowhere. They're the result of years or even months of vascular damage and inflammation building silently beneath the surface. And one of the most overlooked drivers of that damage is something millions of people do regularly: cutting their sleep short. Let's get specific. When you consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours per night, or when your sleep is fragmented, the body enters a low-grade inflammatory state. Studies from the National Institutes of Health and published in the Journal of Neuroscience have shown that short sleep elevates markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6, both of which are linked to increased risk of blood clots and cardiovascular disease. What's happening in your body is both invisible and deadly. Without sufficient deep sleep, the endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, becomes damaged. Think of the endothelium as Teflon that turns into Velcro when inflamed. This sticky surface makes it easier for platelets to clump together, forming microclots that obstruct tiny blood vessels, including those in your brain. In a groundbreaking 2020 study published in Science Translational Medicine, researchers discovered that even one night of partial sleep deprivation led to an increase in circulating prothrombotic particles, essentially molecules that make your blood more likely to clot. These particles persisted for up to 24 hours and were especially elevated in people over 60. Now, let's talk about the brain. Your brain consumes more oxygen per gram than any other organ. It relies on precise, uninterrupted blood flow through capillaries no wider than a strand of hair. When these microvessels are blocked by clots or stiffened by inflammation, neurovascular coupling fails, meaning your brain cells don't get the oxygen they need at the exact moment they need it. That's a recipe for cognitive decline, memory lapses, and eventually stroke. And here's a critical insight. You don't need to be sleep deprived every night to suffer these effects. Even 2 to 3 nights per week of poor sleep, especially in older adults, is enough to measurably increase stroke risk over time. Sleep fragmentation, such as waking up frequently or having untreated sleep apnea, has the same effect. So if you're waking up groggy, foggy, or irritable, your brain may already be signaling that your vascular system is under pressure. Now for some empowering tools, because protecting your brain starts with recovery. If this kind of insight helps you take smarter steps toward better health, consider subscribing. This channel exists to translate the best of neuroscience and behavioral science into simple, life-changing tools you can use today. Here's a targeted protocol to counteract sleep-induced inflammation. 1. Prioritize 7.5 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Yes, quality matters, but duration counts more than most people think when it comes to vascular protection. Set a non-negotiable bedtime that ensures at least 7.5 hours in bed. 2. Use natural anti-inflammatory support. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that increasing intake of omega-3 fatty acids from fish or algae, magnesium, and tart cherry juice can lower inflammation markers in sleep-deprived individuals. 3. Watch your sleep consistency. Irregular sleep, such as going to bed late on weekends, disrupts inflammatory regulation. Set a wake-up time within a 30-minute window each day, even on weekends. 4. Treat undiagnosed sleep apnea. Many people over 50 suffer from undiagnosed obstructive sleep apnea, which causes intermittent oxygen drops and spikes in inflammation. If you snore heavily, gasp in your sleep, or feel exhausted despite a full night's sleep, talk to your doctor about a sleep study. Microclots don't make headlines, but they're quietly clogging the brain's most vital pathways. And the good news? A full night's rest is one of your best defenses. There's a hidden cleaning crew inside your brain, one that only shows up when you're deeply asleep. It's called the glymphatic system. And it may be one of the most important yet least understood factors in brain health, stroke prevention, and long-term cognitive vitality. Here's the science. The glymphatic system is a network of perivascular channels, spaces that surround your brain's blood vessels. And it's powered by glial cells, specifically astrocytes. These channels act like a high-pressure rinse system, flushing out metabolic waste, inflammatory proteins, and neurotoxins that accumulate during the day. One of the most critical of these toxins, beta amyloid, the same protein associated with Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. But here's what's truly fascinating. This system only activates during deep, slow-wave sleep, and only when your body is in a calm parasympathetic state. A 2013 landmark study out of the University of Rochester, published in Science, found that glymphatic clearance increases by more than 60% during deep sleep compared to wakefulness. That's not a small benefit. That's your brain literally washing itself, pulling toxins out through cerebrospinal fluid that eventually drains into the lymphatic system. Now think about what happens if your deep sleep is cut short, fragmented, or never fully achieved. The cleaning crew never shows up. Waste products build up, neuroinflammation increases, and your cerebrovascular system, especially the fragile capillaries that feed the brain's cortex and deep structures, becomes over time. This toxic burden can lead to blood-brain barrier disruption, endothelial damage, and a higher risk of stroke. Have you noticed how mentally foggy or emotionally irritable you feel after just one poor night's sleep? That's your glymphatic system falling behind and the brain running on dirty fuel. But this isn't just about feeling tired. This is about preventing silent strokes, small ischemic events that often go unnoticed but cause cumulative brain damage. These are increasingly common in adults over 60, especially those with poor sleep patterns, high blood pressure, or elevated inflammatory markers. Now, how do we optimize glymphatic function? Here's what neuroscience and sleep physiology suggest. 1. Sleep on your side, a surprising but important insight. Studies using MRI imaging, particularly a 2015 study from Stony Brook University, show that side sleeping, especially the left side, significantly improves glymphatic flow compared to back or stomach sleeping. This may be due to the way gravity supports cerebrospinal fluid drainage. 2. Avoid alcohol before bed. Even small amounts of alcohol reduce deep sleep and shrink the glymphatic channels. One 2018 study in Scientific Reports found that alcohol constricted perivascular flow and impaired waste clearance for up to 24 hours. 3. Front-load your sleep. Glymphatic activity is highest in the first third of the night, when deep, slow-wave sleep predominates. That means getting to bed by 10:30 or 11 o'clock p.m. is critical. Going to bed late compresses this valuable sleep phase and reduces total detox time. 4. Cool, dark, and silent. Your brain sleeps best in an environment below 68 DEGF, 20 DC, with minimal light and noise. These conditions optimize sleep depth and parasympathetic tone, allowing the glymphatic system to operate at full capacity. 5. Magnesium and hydration. Low magnesium levels impair sleep architecture and cerebrovascular tone. Consider taking magnesium threonate or glycinate in the evening alongside proper hydration, but not excessive water late at night, which can interrupt sleep. And remember, glymphatic health is cumulative. One good night of deep sleep helps, but consistent, uninterrupted sleep over weeks and months is what truly rebuilds the brain's resilience. Your brain is the most complex organ in your body, and every night it asks for just one thing: enough deep sleep to clean itself. Give it that, and you're not just preventing stroke, you're optimizing memory, focus, emotion regulation, and even longevity. We've explored how late sleep, screen exposure, nervous system imbalance, inflammation, and poor glymphatic function all contribute to elevated stroke risk, especially overnight. The science is clear. Your brain isn't just resting at night, it's working, recovering, detoxifying, healing. And the way you structure your evenings either supports that or sabotages it. But here's the good news. The brain is incredibly responsive to consistent behavioral inputs. You don't need supplements, medications, or expensive gadgets to reduce stroke risk. What you need is a simple, science-line protocol, one that restores rhythm, calms the nervous system, and protects your vascular health while you sleep. Let's break it into 5 practical, research-backed pillars. 1. Anchor your sleep window, same time every night. A 2023 study in Nature Communications found that individuals with irregular sleep timing, even if they slept enough, had a significantly higher risk of stroke and heart disease. Why? Because circadian disruption affects everything from melatonin release to endothelial repair. Tool: choose a consistent sleep window, ideally 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m., and stick to it, even on weekends. Aim for at least 7.5 hours in bed to allow full cycles of REM and deep sleep. 2. Front-load light, back-load darkness. Your circadian rhythm is most strongly influenced by light exposure, especially in the morning. Bright light early in the day enhances nighttime melatonin, improves sleep depth, and helps regulate vascular tone. Tool: get 10 to 30 minutes of natural sunlight within 60 minutes of waking. In the evening, dim indoor lighting and avoid overhead LEDs. Use red or amber bulbs after 9:00 p.m. 3. Create a parasympathetic power hour. The hour before bed should be a ritual of calm, not stimulation. This prepares your autonomic nervous system for sleep and initiates the cascade of neurovascular recovery. Tool: establish a calming 60-minute routine. Breath work, yoga, 4 to 6 breathing reading, gentle mobility/stretching, no screens, no emotional conversations, no emails. Even 10 minutes of yogic breathing or mindfulness can significantly reduce nighttime blood pressure, according to studies published in Hypertension Research. 4. Support brain-body chemistry naturally. Supplements aren't magic, but they can assist if used correctly and consistently. Tool: magnesium glycinate or threonate, 200 to 400 milligrams to relax blood vessels and enhance sleep depth. Glycine 3G before bed to lower core body temperature and improve sleep onset omega-3s from algae or fish. To reduce inflammation and support vascular health over time, tart cherry juice for natural melatonin and anti-inflammatory compounds. Always consult your physician, especially if you're on blood thinners or blood pressure meds. 5. Leverage temperature for better sleep. And brain flow core body temperature must drop to initiate sleep and stay low to remain in deep restorative stages. Cooler environments also enhance glymphatic flow and reduce microvascular inflammation. Tool: take a warm shower or bath 1 to 2 hours before bed. This draws blood to the skin, triggering a drop in core body temp afterward. Keep your room between 60 to 68 DEGF, 15 to 20 DC. Sleep in minimal, loose-fitting clothing to aid thermoregulation. Above all, don't aim for perfection, aim for consistency. Small improvements repeated daily retrain your brain and body to prioritize sleep as the high-performance recovery state it truly is. Your brain doesn't need a hack. It needs the conditions nature designed it to thrive in. And by creating a sleep protocol that supports vascular health, glymphatic function, and autonomic repair, you're not just reducing stroke risk. You're building a better brain. One night at a time, let's step back and reflect on what we've uncovered. Stroke is not just a sudden event. It's often the final symptom of a system that's been stressed, inflamed, and ignored for too long, especially during the 1/3 of our lives we spend asleep. We began by uncovering a deeply overlooked reality that your nighttime behaviors, from when you sleep to how you sleep to what you do in that final hour before bed, can silently shape your brain's vascular health. You've now seen the science. Going to sleep too late disrupts your circadian rhythm and increases sympathetic nervous system activity, Late night screen use suppresses melatonin and keeps your brain's alert systems active, while fragmented or insufficient sleep promotes inflammation and microclot formation. Each of these factors, alone and combined, raises your stroke risk overnight. We explored how the glymphatic system cleans your brain during deep sleep, why consistent sleep timing matters more than most people realize, and how even seemingly small habits like blue light exposure or sleeping on your back can influence blood flow to the brain. But most importantly, we covered what you can do about it. There are tools you can apply tonight, right now. You can anchor your bedtime, create a calm power down hour, sleep in a cool, dark room, support glymphatic flow through side sleeping and magnesium, avoid alcohol and screens before bed, and perhaps most powerfully, you can commit not to perfection, but to protecting your brain one night at a time. Because the brain is not just an organ, it's your operating system. It holds your memories, your decisions, your relationships, your emotions, your life. Stroke takes all of that in an instant, but your habits can protect it slowly, quietly, consistently. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, pick one tool from this episode. Maybe you turn off your screens an hour early. Maybe you do 5 minutes of breath work before sleep. Maybe you finally set a consistent bedtime and stick to it. Just start. Because the moment you do, you're not just preventing disease, you're building the cognitive, emotional, and physical strength that fuels a better life. If this episode helped you reconnect with your health and your potential, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. Not out of habit, but out of alignment with something deeper. A shared commitment to using science, not just to know more, but to live better. Your brain is listening. Tonight, give it what it needs to thrive.